Hello, everybody. Welcome to Nick Lenz's Heroes Who Are Awesome and Cool. Excuse me. This is the second episode I have. Episode 2. In this episode, I'm talking about Aquaman. In the last episode, I talked about Aquaman. In this episode, I'm talking about his Marvel counterpart. And his Marvel counterpart is Namor the Submariner. Excuse me. Namor the Submariner made his debut back in Motion Comics Weekly. It's an unpublished story. Some people know about the comic. He made his first public appearance in Marvel Comics #1. Yes, there was a Marvel Comics #1. And he also appeared in, whatchamacallit, give me a second here. I'm looking him up. Now, Namor himself did have, basically, in a way, he is Aquaman's counterpart. The only difference is, he did join the Avengers, which is basically Marvel's version of the Justice League. Yeah. Motion Picture Funnies Weekly. Not Motion Comics Weekly. It's Motion Pictures Funny Weekly. Now, it was sort of a unpublished thing. Now, besides appearing in the first issue of Marvel Comics, he did continue on appearing in the title, which was Marvel Mystery Comics. And he stayed there until around issue 92, where Bishop Four was renamed Marvel Tales. The first Marvel Tales, not the second one, where it's reprints of Spider-Man comics. That's a totally different comic. This I think its second volume, it's a completely different comic. It's nothing really much to do with the previous volume. Besides appearing there, he did eventually get his own ongoing comic. His first three was it? No, first of 4 ongoing titles. And this one lasted for 35 issues. So it did have a brief break after issue 32 at the end of the Golden Age. He also appeared in All Winners comics. Basically, usually some stories here and there. He did also join the All Winners Squadron when they appeared in issues 19 and 20 of All Winners comics. The reason why there's the All Winners 19 and 20, there is technically no All Winners 2020, issue number 20. The reason why that was because the title was briefly renamed All Teen Comics number 20. Let me get a second here. He did appear also the other comic he did appear for Young Men for issues 24, 28, and I think it was like Men's War, numbers 26 to 28, and after that he disappeared. He disappeared for, I'd say, about 5 or 6 years to make it disappear. And then he appeared for years, as he's been known as frequently over the years, as a Fantastic Four villain, though he's sort of an anti-hero in superhero form. As a matter of fact, he participated in the very first, in a way, comic book crossover, where he teamed up with the Human Torch. And I also forgot to mention, he also did have a backup feature in Human Torch comics, along with the Angel, which I'll get to another time. Pretty much, he appeared on and off Fantastic Four throughout the 60s. That wasn't until he started appearing in Tales to Astonish, where he started appearing with a title with issue 61 and stayed there into issue 101. He did also have a brief crossover with Iron Man. I believe it was Tales of Suspense number 82, which eventually, after his feature ended, he did also have a one-shot they published right afterwards, which was a split book called Iron Man the Submariner #1. This is not a team-up book. Despite the fact that the title suggests, it is not a team-up book. It is a split book. One second. Right after that, he appeared in his own comic, which is called The Submariner. And it lasted for 72 issues. Yes, his longest running title to date. Out of his 4 ongoing titles, that's right, 4, his second one was his longest. He did also have 2 annuals published at this time, but the problem was they were reprints. He did have, now one of his issues, issue 22, was basically sort of a continuation of what was going on in Doctor Strange, number 183, was continued into issue 22, where he teamed up with Doctor Strange. And this issue pretty much also helps some of the events of the Defenders. And then later on, he did, around issue 33 through 35 of his comic, he had teamed up with the precursor team to the Defenders, known as Titans 3, which is composed of himself, the Incredible Hulk, and the Silver Surfer. Now, despite the fact the Silver Surfer is, in a way, a founding member of the Defenders, he barely had anything to do with the first ever comic that they appeared in, which was Marvel Feature number 1. Now, during this time in the 70s, when Namor was having his ongoing title, he did, however, appear in the Defenders. He did appear in the 3 issues, in the 3-part tryout of Defenders, which eventually led to their ongoing title. This, however, did introduce Hulk to a bad guy he fought a few times over the years, known as Xanadu, which was originally known as the Uncanny Hulk. Yeah, it was his nickname. He was a character who appeared in the late Silver Age during the comic during the issue, which is the same comic that Thor himself appeared in. Now, pretty much, Namor did appear in the comic as a member for the first 14 issues. Then he left the comic because for personal issues, and also he did reappear, and I believe it was Giant Size Defenders number 1 or 2. I don't remember which one it was. It was the one that took place right after issue 14, where he allowed Nighthawk to take over as a member, as took his spot on the team. And right afterwards, right after his ongoing title was canceled, he did appear occasionally in Defenders after that, but after issue 124, he never appeared in Defenders ever again until the second volume, which I'll get to later. Now, right after the end of his comic, he did appear in the giant-sized Supervillain team-up, number 1 and number 2, which served as sort of a set the stage for the Supervillain team-up series, which he was in. He and Doctor Doom were in the first 14 issues, so Doctor Doom wasn't also in issue 15, 16, but 15 was simply a reprint comic. It was supposedly him teaming up with the Red Skull, which never happened. It just reprints his adventures in a brief backup feature he had for Astonishing Tales. Now, right after that, Namor still continually did appear on and off the page of Fantastic Four, which he still does. He hasn't really appeared in Page of Fantastic Four since, I'd say, before the comic got relaunched, before it went to FF. That was the last time I think he appeared in the comic. After the end of his ongoing series, after the end of his run in Giant Size Villain Team of number 1 through 14, he did have a couple mini-series to come after that. Which was called, I think it was Saga the Submariner and Prince Namor. And that's pretty much it. He didn't do very much in the 80s. He did eventually join the Avengers during that time, which he stayed for about a couple years. Let's see if I can find the spot here. Yeah, it was a 4-issue miniseries, Prince Namor the Submariner, and of course, Saga the Submariner. I've not really found it yet. Yeah, it looks like that, crossed with Aquaman, which he met briefly. Now, right after he left the Avengers, after his brief period of time with the Avengers, he never rejoined the Avengers after that. As far as I know, he never did. Also, there's one other thing he did do in the 70s besides appearing in his own comic and Defenders. He appeared in the flashback comic known as The Invaders, where he, Captain America, and the Human Torch, the android Human Torch, I should point out, the android Human Torch, not Johnny Storm. Now, Johnny Storm has met the Human Torch. As a matter of fact, he modeled his costume briefly after that, where he appeared with the Invaders in the very first volume of Invaders, which lasted for 41 issues, and it was even a giant-sized Invaders, which sort of served as a backdoor pilot to the series. I'll explain that in another video what I mean by backdoor pilot. The team was sort of set up in Avengers 74. Now, besides appearing on and off, before joining the Avengers, which he did join in the 80s, he did appear on and off in pages of Avengers and X-Men. Sort of a minor villain. He didn't fight the Avengers. He only fought the Avengers maybe once or twice. And he appeared in X-Men comics a couple times before he officially joined the X-Men in the 2000s. And then in the 90s, he did something unusual. He had another ongoing series. And this one lasted for 62 issues and had 4 annuals which were not reprints. One of whom was a crossover annual. It was part of a 4-part crossover known as The Return of the Defenders, which later set the stage for the Defenders Volume 2, which I'll get to later. He did not appear, as far as I know, in the pages of Secret Defenders, which I can get to in another video. Then pretty much, excuse me, right at the end of the series, and of course the end of the series with a crossover called Atlantis Rising, which also had a 2-issue miniseries along with it. It was a crossover with Fantastic Four. Then after that, he did appear on and off in some more comics. He did also appear in Marvel Team Up Volume 2, where he appeared from issue 6 to 11. He did very much after that. He did also appear in Pages Defenders, where he appeared in the entire second volume, which was 12 issues long, and he appeared in the follow-up miniseries called The Order, which was a 6-issue miniseries. Let's see. In 2003, he had a 12-issue maxi series called simply Namor. Okay, and then he did continue. He still did continue to appear on and off over the years. Didn't do very much after that. That was until around the year 2009, when he got more active than usual, when he became part of a group of evil, government-sanctioned Team X-Men, known as the Dark X-Men by fans and by publication purposes. They are also referred to as Norman Osborn's X-Men. And it's also revealed in a flashback, Namor has a history with then Cyclops' girlfriend, Emma Frost, where they had a brief affair. Which, basically, the reason why she started that affair is because Sebastian Shaw wanted Namor to join the Hellfire Club, and just by coincidence, because she was in Atlantis at the time, there's an unofficial thing, basically, when you explain the Hope in later comics, that the only reason why he brings women to Atlantis if he wants to seduce them. Hope was allowed to bring there because she was a teenager, and he is way too young for him. After the events, which was the whole thing of him joining the Dark X-Men was part of the events called Utopia, which saved the events of the X-Men comics for the next several years, for the next 4 years, which having him stay in the island Utopia, and also right afterward, they started the storyline called Nation X. Now he did play a part in that storyline, where he worked with Magneto, his old ally from the 60s, to build a pillar. The purpose of the pillar had 2 purposes. Number 1, to hold up the island Utopia, which was about to sink. And number 2, as sort of a home for the Atlanteans, because Atlantis was destroyed in 2006. I almost forgot to mention that. Submariner had a 6-issue miniseries called simply The Submariner, basically reviving his old 70s title. Which, in the miniseries, for some reason, Namor attacked New York City, for some odd reason. And so Iron Man 6 shield on Atlantis, practically destroying the city, and he even fought Namor and ripped off his wings. So somehow later he got the wings back. It's not really explained very well how he got the wings back. Wings are on his ankles. That's how he can fly. Let's see. Then he did from Nation X on, he always took part in X-Men stories, but not really very much unless it's an X-Men crossover. He's usually a very quiet member. He did appear in the follow-up story. He usually would just appear in pages of Kenny X-Men. That was the only series he was featured in. As far as I know, he was not featured in anything else, just in Kenny X-Men, where he basically was as normal as he was. Heck, he even tried, just during the event Second Coming, he even tried, I think it was Second Coming, or it was some event, he even tried to sleep with Emma Frost. Yeah, and she's wearing a skimpy outfit. I'll talk about her in another video. Let's see, what else? And then he got involved with Avengers vs. X-Men. Of course, at the Avengers Schism, he stayed with the Kenny X-Men, which he basically he was on the Extinction team. No real explanation exactly why he was on the Extinction team, but he was. I think Scott Summers just put him there. Oh, and the person I was mentioning was Hope Summers, who came back during the Avengers Second Coming. And then he took part in Avengers vs. X-Men, where he fought against the Avengers, a team he himself was part of. Then he became a host of the Phoenix Force. Then he became also doing events. He also became the first person to lose his force in the Phoenix Force, where he was defeated by the Avengers. And then after that, of course, also he did have Atlantis launch a full-scale attack on Wakanda, because the Avengers were actually in Wakanda at the time. Then after the Avengers vs. X-Men, he rejoined the Illuminati. I almost forgot that. He was a member of the Illuminati. He was a member of the Illuminati for years, starting with their debut back in New Avengers number 7. Let's see. What else? And that's where he's currently now. He's in the pages of New Avengers, where he's with the Illuminati. I can get to it without the video. And that's pretty much it. Namor is not really doing very much. Oh, I almost forgot. There's one other thing I almost forgot. His 4th ongoing series was launched right after the Second Coming. Lasted for 11 issues, and then they canceled the title. And then in 2009, I think it was 2009. Actually, I think it was probably 2011, 2012, Christian Ford Adventure vs. X-Men. There was a 3-part annual crossover called Escape Negas on his annual was number 3. That's what I forgot. And he did, in fact, return to Tales to Astonish, but it was a reprint series. It was the first 14 issues of his series. And that's pretty much it. In case some of you are wondering why this video is so long, because I have a lot to talk about when it comes to Namor. Namor, on the other hand, does not get much criticism being a dumb character. As a matter of fact, he's a really cool character, unlike, let's say, Aquaman, who's treated like crap. As a matter of fact, he's still treated like crap by a few people in the media. Namor, on the other hand, does not get treated like crap at all. As far as I know, he's very well respected by the comic book community and by the media. That's pretty much it. I can't think of anything else right now when it comes to Namor. I will do another one of these videos. Okay, I've been going for almost 19 minutes talking to this. That's pretty much it. See you in the next episode where I'll talk about another superhero I do like. See you all in the next video. Bye.